Hello, everyone, and welcome to Elliot and the Evil Sorcerer. Written by Rylan Mason and narrated by me, Brian Shepard. Episode 6. The Uninvited. Everyone seemed to be pouring into the dining room as Derek escorted Elliot to his seat to the right of his father, who rightfully was seated at the head of the table, which was covered in all sorts of foods running down the middle of the table. The food was illuminated by black candelabras with at least 6 to 8 candles in each, not to mention the 20 or so candles that were lit above Elliot's head in a square-shaped 3-tier chandelier. 2 hung from the ceiling. Elliot knew that there were 20 candles in each because he was counting them while his father was standing and speaking about something. Something he should have been paying attention to as Elliot's eyes floated down from the tapestry, only to find his father looking at him, like for a response. You see, even now he thinks of only the adventure that lies before him. My son will help restore balance to the realm as he and his friends, along with Lord Mabry, travel to the Dark Realm and retrieve King Ulrich. He stopped. Coughing, along with whispers, could be heard down both sides of the table. This will be done as my son is also mated to King Ulrich, which will put an end to Lord... King Arius was cut off by clouds of black that began to show up surrounding the table. Stepping out of the black nothing were screechers. 8 altogether. And then, of course, there was Lord Ovidian standing at the end of the table with a nasty grin. Elliot noticed that his father didn't sit, yet moved closer to Elliot. This had Elliot worried. Taking Lord Ovidian in, Elliot could see why most, if not all, feared him. Ovidian wore nothing but black. He was wearing a black suit with a long black trench coat. Must have been 6'2", long black hair, pale as a ghost with eyes that burned red. Now I know how poor Maleficent felt when Stefan didn't invite her to dinner. Arius, I am saddened at this. And your son is here. I see my friends didn't scare you off back home. You showed up anyway. He smiled as he looked around the table. What is it you want? And no, your creatures did not scare me, Elliot responded with just as much tone, which had Ovidian now focused on Elliot. Do you really think I want anything from you? Ovidian responded, keeping his burning red eyes on Elliot, who, at that moment, was thinking of a plan in hopes Derek would pick up on as Elliot glanced over to him, who was standing next to Allie in the back, yet close enough to Elliot. William was seated next to him. The plan, which seemed to be a go-ahead after a nod from Derek, was to have both Derek and Allie join hands with Elliot as he grabbed William and mind teleported out in hopes of being close to the open portal. You are not welcome here, Ovidian, Arius said. So whatever it is you want... He was cut off by a shout coming down the table from Lady Stormwell. Don't touch me, she said as she scolded the screecher that was floating close to her, showing its horrible, ugly teeth. Back to the task at hand, Ovidia said while looking right at Lady Stormwell. That was the moment Elliot decided to take as he grabbed William as the rest moved in, and then all were gone. This had Ovidian angry. It seems a warning will not work. Vidian said as he waved his hand, and most of the screechers walked back into the black nothing and disappeared, most likely to track Elliot and the rest. Oh, Arrayus, it seems your son will be in more trouble than I thought. Should have kept him home and away from danger. Why he and his companions would travel to the dark realm of all places until it hit him. Searching Arrayus's eyes, he found the answer. Mate, is all he said, which seemed to have enraged him even more. Never. I will not allow this to happen. You wait and see. Your son will meet his end, and it would be all for nothing, a waste of time. Time he should have spent with you, he said, before turning and walking himself back into the cloud, leaving the rest of the screechers behind. While the dinner guests fought off the remaining screechers, which were no match for the king and the others, Elliot and the gang appeared on the road that led up the mountain to the city of Rensea. This way, Mabry said as he pointed to the side path, which went to the side of the mountain and back into the thickness of the forest. Allie and Derek took up the rear as Elliot and William went first. They would have to act fast, as they were sure that a Vidian would be looking for them. If it wasn't for the fact that he finally let go and accepted the fact that he was mated to someone, the feeling of need and want is what drove Elliot to want to find and rescue Ulrich even more. The bond was starting to feel stronger. I can feel that we're getting closer. I can feel him, Elliot whispered as they all continued to walk the dark path. We are getting close. I can sense the magic, Allie said as she looked around for anything out of the ordinary. Yet there was nothing. No Avidian and no screechers. The path started to turn as it made its way up the mountain. Something was pulling Elliot to go off the path to the left. The others stopped, watched as Elliot just stood there looking into the direction of the pole, eyes closed. Elliot, what is it? Derek asked. We need to go this way, almost like I'm being led, Elliot responded and began to walk towards the pole. The others had no choice but to follow. As Elliot pushed forward, moving branches and stepping over logs and stones, the feeling of love, worry, and fear overcame Elliot as a light glow could be seen up ahead. And in the middle of a clearing was the portal to the dark realm. The portal looked like an arched doorway outlined in what seemed to be electrical charges that seemed to dance around in the black mist. The entrance was nothing but a fiery black mist. As Elliot stepped closer, to him it was almost like burning embers floating around, like you would see from a volcano. Elliot? A voice whispered in Elliot's mind, as clear as if the voice was standing right next to him. Who was that? He thought as he pressed on towards the portal entrance. You can hear me, the voice said. Yes, Elliot responded somehow in his mind. Great. Did he just respond to the insanity in his head? Was he going completely mad or even crazy? No, it is our bond which allows us to communicate. You are close. Do not panic, my love. You're not going crazy. Ulrich responded by sending more wonderful and caring feelings, which made Elliot smile. I can hear him in my head. He says it's our bond, that we're close, Elliot said as he stopped and turned to face them. William simply smiled, while Allie and Derek looked confused. Are you mind-bonded with him? That is a skill only meant for true mates. Wait, what about the Florian? Allie asked Elliot. Up till now, it was the only way to communicate with Ulrich. Yet Elliot didn't have the book. It was left in his room back in his father's castle. I don't have it. I left it behind. By the sounds of it, I won't be needing it, which I'm glad about, as I didn't like carrying that big old book everywhere, Elliot answered. Prince Elliot, I want to warn you about the Dark Realm. Each realm is different, as it is meant to punish and keep the banished living in it in what they once knew. It will be a horrible place, filled with sadness, fear, and darkness. We will have to find Ulrich, and fast. If we stay too long, there is a chance we will be stuck, living out our lives in that horrible place, William said with much seriousness in his voice. I understand. We will need to work together. Yet I have a feeling he won't be easy to get to, Elliot responded. The Dark Realm housed the most horrible creatures, and those banished forever. It was meant to keep them in, not to be let out. As everyone reached the entrance to the portal, it was now or never. Hesitation hit Elliot, yet the pull had him entering the portal. As they stepped all the way through, they were standing at the gate to what looked like Rensea. Yet the vibrant city in which Elliot was told about was in ruins, buildings looking like they were crumbling. Most of the trees and vines were taking over everything. It looked like the city was abandoned long ago. No sounds of people, children playing in the streets, the fresh smell of bread being baked. Nothing but the sounds of dripping water and plaster falling from the buildings. The stench of death, despair, and fear filled the air. Not a place for anyone to be. Yet, here was Elliot and his friends, trying to find Ulrich. Where are you, Ulrich? He thought as they walked underneath the large stone gate, allowing them to enter the city. Well, what was left of it anyway. Building after building was overcome to the evil darkness. Windows broke and smashed out, doors broken and hanging on by a single bolt. The city center, which back home had a beautiful water fountain, trees and colorful flowers around it, benches for citizens to sit and rest, even catch up on daily court gossip. This version was broken, crumbling with deep, dark purple veins running through the stonework. And there, in the middle, stood the palace. Its 50 rooms had seen better days, as the palace looked more like a empty shell from a long-lost ancient city Jack Jameson would find on one of his archaeology adventures with his boyfriend Christopher. Elliot has read all about him and his recent discovery. The darkness only grew even more as Elliot and the rest made their way through the town center and onwards to the palace. Thunder clapped loudly as it rolled across the sky, followed by the strikes of chain lightning that seemed to dance above the palace. Elliot, what is it? I can feel you wanting to hesitate, Derek asked, as he could no longer read Elliot's mind now that part of the bond with Ulrich had taken over. It was much less. Fear, however, that was a strong feeling, easy for Derek to pick up on. Is it going to be this easy? Are we really just going to walk in there? Something's not right here. I don't feel right. Ulrich agrees. Something is out there, watching us, Elliot responded. We should get off the street, see if we can lure it out. In the meantime, we need a plan, William suggested. Elliot and the rest, nodding in agreement, decided to duck into what used to resemble a shop. I feel something is out there, something big. It's close and waiting in the darkness. I don't think it intends for us to leave, Elliot said, as he just stared out the window, out into the darkness that seemed to be taking over the streets, almost like a heavy, thick fog. Hey everyone, Rylan here. Just a quick reminder that you can find more information about me and the stories I write by going to my Facebook at facebook.com/author.r.mason. From there, you can find updates, follow me on Instagram, talk to me, and more. Thank you for taking the time to listen and for the support. An R. Mason Media Production. Copyright 2022.